Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you did nothing? And I mean absolutely nothing. I have a very hard time doing nothing. I have a very restless mind, very restless energy. I always want to be doing something. I asked myself the other day, where does this come from? Why do I feel the need to be constantly doing something? Why does nothingness feel uncomfortable? So as I traced it back to its origins, I feel uncomfortable when I'm not doing anything because I don't feel productive. And when I don't feel productive,
I feel like I'm not doing enough to make money. And when I'm not doing enough to make money, I feel like I might end up homeless. And if I end up homeless, I'm going to end up dying.
ultimately, it really traced back to survival. Part of that, though, stems from the culture that I live in. I grew up in America. The society here, we value doing. We value hard work. And hard work is great. I've always admired people who could just go for hours in whatever they're doing. But part of my belief that I have to be doing something definitely stems from the go, go, go culture that we live in. Growing up in America, at least in my generation, meant constant engagement in an activity. I grew up on video games. I grew up basically oversaturating my senses, always needing to watch something, to play something, to eat something. And if I wasn't doing any of those things, it would feel uncomfortable because we're not really taught in the society to just sit and do nothing. In classrooms, we're always having to pay attention. And if we're not paying attention, we get in trouble. We can't be daydreaming. We can't be imagining things. We have to be alert at all times, taking in all of this boring ass, useless ass information in school. But I digress. Basically, doing nothing is very uncomfortable. But I've been realizing that when I'm doing nothing, going for a walk, laying on the grass, even going for a drive or taking a shower, when I'm not actively engaged in something, that's where all of my ideas come from. When I'm not filling my headspace up with something. You could argue that, going for a walk is still not doing nothing, but for the sake of this video, when I say doing nothing, I mean not engaging in entertainment, in distractions, in eating, in any sort of sensory form of input. The other day when I was trying to figure out what to talk about in my next video, I went for a walk in the woods and there was this beautiful spot with pine needles on the ground. No one was around, the sun was setting, there was just so much beautiful golden light glistening through the trees. It was just so relaxing. I decided to lay down on the pine needles. I looked up, staring at the tops of the trees, and it came to me. I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to talk about the importance of doing nothing and how doing nothing is actually incredibly productive. And like I touched upon earlier, when I'm surrounded by my phone, technology, the TV, my laptop, just like being immersed in my day-to-day surroundings, I tend to get in thought loops. Like I need to figure things out. For some reason, it comes down to figuring it out. What am I trying to figure out? And it's funny how I still haven't figured it out. But I realized when I was just laying on the bed of pine needles staring at the sky, those moments are exactly when I feel like I figured it out. And figuring it out meant feeling at peace, feeling like all the things I was worrying about were actually not that big of a deal. All the things that we feel are urgent or pressing, and we build up all this pressure and stress, it's all made up by our minds. Our tricky little minds. And when I'm out in nature, it's like all of those useless files in my brain are cleared up. And as they clear up, there's so much more space for downloads to happen. And when I say downloads, I mean ideas and inspiration and just answers to problems I've been trying to solve and figure out for so long. They come when I'm doing nothing, when I'm just appreciating nature and feeling connected. A really important component of this doing nothing thing is really connecting to nature and putting your feet in the grass. If you really think about it, why do we suffer so much in life? I think it's because we feel disconnected from something, someone, nature, who we really are, from our spirit, from our family. Really, I really truly believe the root of all suffering is disconnection. And thankfully, there's this new wave of humans who understand how important it is to reconnect with who we are, with nature, with the universe, with God, with whatever you want to call this great mystery, reconnecting with it and allowing it to fill us up, instead of overly relying on ourselves to try to work hard and figure things out. And it's just not sustainable. We gotta give some of that up to the natural flow of nature. This universe that is constantly breathing and growing and expanding, we're connected to it. So the seasons come and go, the seasons change effortlessly. Nature doesn't have to overanalyze its evolution, it just does. And we do the same. Our brains just get in the way, make things more complicated and harder, which is why it's so unbelievable to some people that the answer sometimes is to do nothing. When you can't figure out the answer, do nothing. Put your feet in the grass. Look up at the sky, at the clouds, at the stars. Take deep breaths, breathe in that fresh air. Find a stream of water, an ocean. Put your hands and your feet and your face in it, submerge your whole body in it, connect again. Nature is the antidote to stress. It is the ultimate medicine. And this has been scientifically backed. Nature, and grounding specifically, leads to less inflammation in the body, a myriad of other benefits. Negative ions, our body needs negative ions, and these are found abundantly in nature. They enhance immunity, reduce inflammation, balances the nervous system, promotes deep sleep, healthy digestion. All of these things nature can do. And it's free. You don't have to get a prescription for nature. And all these prescriptions anyway that you get from your doctor cover up the symptoms of all your ailments. I believe the reason why we have this enormous onset of ailments and cancer and just health issues, mental disorders, autoimmune dysfunction, it's because we're not connected. We're not rooted into the earth, and we're not intaking and eating the abundance that nature provides for us. We're eating all this overly processed foods. Grounding resets. I notice that when I'm feeling overwhelmed by thoughts and worries and what I have to do, going out into nature is an immediate reset button. Every time I'm out there, I'm like, oh, why don't I do this every day? Why don't people do this every day? It stabilizes me. I feel my nervous system calming down, and I feel this ultimate sense of peace that I can't get from a space of intellect and trying to figure it out in my mind. How do you get to a space of peace in your head? I've heard before that Albert Einstein, when he was stuck on a problem, he would go out on his boat and play his violin until the answer would just come to him. And I feel like this brilliance, these epiphanies, come from a space of us being receptive. In order to be receptive, we gotta have less things going on in our mind, less distractions. You know, when you're scrolling through Instagram, you're not truly relaxing, you're still engaging. And if anything, when I'm on technology for too long, I feel wired. I feel this feeling of like kind of mental chaos and scatteredness. I just feel scattered when I'm on these devices for too long. And it's because I'm not grounded. Let this little video be a reminder for you to do nothing. Deeply relax in the peace of doing nothing. Go lay down on the grass right now. Also, last thing I want to add is when I'm deeply relaxing in nature, everything is okay. When I feel more connected, I feel more connected to just having faith that everything is okay, going to be okay, and that I am safe and supported by God, by this universe, by nature, by the people around me, by love, myself. There's this deep trust that you begin to form the more you connect. I can't really describe it. You kind of have to experience it for yourself in order to feel that. It's a feeling. It's an intuitive knowing. that you really are safe and supported and loved. So, how can you be more productive? Do nothing.